same. Joining us up on stage is Mr. Gaurav Khatri, co-founder at Noise. Let's give a very warm welcome. He will be in conversation with Priti Murthy, president at GroupM Nexus. A very warm welcome to both of you. We all are really looking forward to this conversation. Over to you now.
Thank you, Gaurav. It's a pleasure having you here. And I think that's the question I asked. I don't see you enough in events. You must do more. So thank you for taking time out for this.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Preeti. And thanks, Kit and E.T. Thanks for having me here.
So before I start with my 2,000 list of questions that I put up for Gaurav, and I realized I just have 20 minutes. So we are going to make it smart and effective and keep it a little open-ended also, depending on what he says. The subject is what's next, right? But before we come to what's new and what's next for the industry, what I want to hear is how the idea of Noise emerged, and how did you build it up, and what made it exciting. And we just spoke inside that it's a 2,000 crore company, so you're not worried about the 100 crores anymore. What made it so large?
I would like to correct, first of all, I'm always worried about the 100 crores because those 100 crores makes those 2,000. But yeah, I think the journey started with a very different vision, honestly. To give you a quick context, I mean, I come from a tier town city called Bikaner, have lived whole of my childhood there. I would not call myself a Gen Z, but a millennial, or someone who have lived into an era where there was no experiential brands in the cities or the town 2 or town 3. And I always used to wonder what makes us so different. I mean, what is the difficulty that as a country we have, why we don't have those brands, which globally we have so many. And I was pursuing as a commercial pilot. I was supposed to be a commercial pilot for my life, but now I feel fortunate that I didn't get into the career in very detail. But yeah, I started this brand called Noise with a vision of creating an experiential brand for the consumers. The idea was to give that right set of experience which we feel from the global brands, and I always felt that the Indian young consumer is looking for an aspirational values in what they purchase. We always very casually use the word that Indian consumer wants to buy cheap, but that's not real. Indian customer wants to buy a product which is aspirational, which has value attached to it. And that has, I mean, I had a very basic understanding of it, and I wanted to experiment it. I honestly didn't start the brand because I wanted to create $1 million brand or something like that. But the idea was to create a brand which people can consume with love and feel proud of owning it. And that's when we started it, with a very small and clear vision that we had.
So inspiring, I must say. And I can relate to some of that because I have a 20-year-old niece now, but when she started college, we actually gifted her a Noise pack, right? The watch and the earbuds, and she was very excited and she was flaunting it. So it's a flaunt value today, definitely for the consumer. But traditional marketing involves a lot of consumer insights, and then you develop the product, and then goes testing, and obviously the world we live in is not that. So how did you bridge the gap so fast?
See, I would not say it's fast. It's been 8 years now we are running this brand. People are aware from last 2, 3, 4 years. So there has been a decent journey that has gone behind it. Like you said, there's a traditional marketing. There is a lot of understanding that one needs to do. But in my case, it was very different because I was not an MBA grad. I was doing my basic graduation. And I was completely naive about starting anything new. For me, starting this business was, to give a try to thoughts that I have, rather than what people feel and what the industry works at. So I did not have any background knowledge, and probably that helped me in terms of trying in the way that I wanted, and probably that was a way that was getting absorbed in the country. And I think that Rahul also mentioned, it's not about what you create, it's about also being at the right time, right place, and all the circumstances should behave in your favor. So I think a lot of this also, fall into our way. We were very early brand who started e-commerce when the D2C word did not exist. Nobody used to believe the brands that exist as a D2C world. Everybody used to think that These are the sellers who sell on Amazon, on Flipkart. Why would somebody buy from your own website? Those challenges. Forget about the consumer. It used to be challenged from the partners and the ecosystem. But it took some time, and a lot of D2C brand finally, post-COVID, started seeing the results when consumer became very much aware about digital purchase and had a lot of trust values in buying online, and became a habit for them to, start purchasing or transacting online. And I think that has been one of the reasons. I think when you're not aware about the traditional rules of starting something, it's sometimes easier to start with one new thought. Yeah, it's a blessing.
Wonderful point, actually. Because that's an interesting deviation to the way you think or behave or do marketing. So what was this shift you saw in the consumers in the last 8 years? Because obviously from when you started to now, the behaviors have shifted a lot. A 20-year-old then is a 30-year-old almost, right? In the 8 years. So there is a shift in the consumers you're targeting, whom are you talking to? What are the 2-3 levers you shifted then?
See, 10 years back, when I was a consumer, I had very limited option to purchase, whether it is respect to the brands, whether it is respect to the products, whether it is respect to channel or platforms, right? A lot of things have changed, and there is a lot of choices that consumer has. And each consumer is optimizing for something else, and you can't have one strategy that fit for all the users. And I think I've learned in last 6-8 years that you have to work with a lot of data that you get by working for e-commerce, and it's not very expensive, right? Versus the traditional media and an offline thing. When you work, you have to wait for the data, you have to wait for the time, you have to understand, analyze, and then make your strategy. But when you're working online, the best part of working online is that you get the data real time, you understand what is happening, and you keep shifting your gears according to the changes that you're seeing. So if you ask me what are the biggest changes, I would say the biggest changes with respect to, of course, there has been great trust value that people have got. They have got into a habit of purchase. They're believing the platforms more. They're ready to purchase directly from the D2C website. Now consumer are optimizing for the experience. They are very, very smart. They want to understand what is the difference between when I purchase from an e-commerce platform or a D2C website. So you have to work on that. Plus now there are a lot of other areas that has come in, the quick commerce has come in. Now the people want and good count deliveries is to be like 10 minutes, sorry. 10 minutes. Right? We never wanted it, but when we got it, now we are not going back. Yeah. That's the consumer shift that we are seeing, and experience, and I think the way e-commerce and the transactions are changing, it's irreversible behavior, and it will optimize for the next level.
Wonderful, because like you said, the quick commerce is now changing the language of instant Maggie kind of a feeling, right? Though we know it's technically not 2 minutes, but that perception has been built. And this is the new age consumer wanting us to do then and now. But you also have built the brand very successfully. Many times brands that focus on the delivery sometimes misses the journey on the brand, but you seem to have balanced that very well. And what made you bring that alive? You have a great brand ambassador, you have a great communication going. How do you blend that?
I think there are a lot of things. There's no right formula to it. You have to have a balance in all the aspect, all the situation, all the departments of your business. I've been always one that who have not been optimizing for delivery, let's say, right? But there have been 5 or 6 levers that we always had in the brand that we would not compromise in the consumer experience, right? Whether it is the design of the product, whether it is delivery of the product, whether it is experience on your D2C, whether it is the packaging of your product, how beautifully or how greatly you are packaging it. One should feel that what you're trying to speak in your communication via the performance ads or the brand ads, the customer should get that. And you have to be very transparent in that. And I think we kept it very simple. I never wanted to complicate that, keep optimizing for the delivery time, keep optimizing for packaging or design. You have to optimize what consumer is asking for. Don't optimize for everything. And keep your the business goals very, very close to you and understand how they align with the consumer. We kept it very simple, didn't want to deviate into too many things, and I think probably being focused has helped us in remaining where we are today.
That's interesting, because critical pillar, focus, understand the consumer, and don't spread too thin, right? So guys, there is a formula. But at the same end, there's also a huge need of personalization, right? How are you addressing it via your channels or the consumer understanding, and how do you see it shaping the future?
So in our case, personalization is not a very big factor of buying electronics and gadgets, right? There is some, how would I say, something that you need as in personalization. But what we feel in personalization is that the data that you get from your D2C or the e-commerce platforms, that what is that allowing a customer to take decision faster or converting your customer faster. You need to optimize those pillars or those levers faster. And sometimes it would be, when you talk about the product specifically, there have been a lot of products that we have created by just understanding what consumer is searching for. For an example, when we launched our first calling watch, it was not an idea that came to us sitting in the office, right? When we started looking into the data, we understood, okay, there's a surge of a lot of customers coming about, they need a calling smartwatch. We started building on that, and we became that first watch to come into that. And we created a lot of our first products that came in the country for the first time ever, based on the customer feedback, by speaking to them one-on-one, by doing all those customer sessions that we do normally in our office. I think for us, the customization is that. But yeah, in an overall e-commerce things, you have to create a differentiated experience for every user that exists in the ecosystem. For an example, in our case, what we are trying to do personalization is that there's a community of cyclists, right? We are trying to work with them, giving them an extraordinary experience on our app, right? That their community have all the points that they can discuss with the community. People there, for gym goers, there's a separate community. For someone who's optimizing for, let's say, health, he's speaking on a different language. So we are trying to build those community and create that experience and the overall consumer centricity around that. I think that's the personalization that we are trying to create in our category, but yeah, it's different for different category and businesses.
Sure. So in tech, tech and tech products is always a new thing coming on board. And we have, like you said, you've communities built on various interests. Health is a space that's so large and growing now, and with so many health rings and whatnot, we're just short of putting chips in our body now, right? It's not very far off. What's your view on that, and where do you think noise is going to head there?
See, our focus is very, very big on health overall. I can give all the gyan very easily that people are thinking and doing a lot about health. But today, they are aware about health as a word, right? Everybody wants to be fit. Everybody wants to be aware about health. But are they using the products just for health? I would say not enough. The data is very small at this point of time. But yeah, the good part is that there is an awareness in overall ecosystem post-COVID. A lot of people are aware about what they need to do. So we put up in Gurgaon and understand that there's a lot of peers around us are doing health. So we also optimize ourselves towards health and everything. But the health is just at an awareness stage at this point of time. But yeah, it'll be very, very big because, like you said, a 20-year-old is now 30-year. The 20-year today is much more health aware about how we were in our 20s. So those will change a lot in the product tech in coming time, and I think we are getting ourselves there, and we are developing a lot of new tech gadgets. You spoke about Ring. We are already there with that. We are coming with a lot of other wearable devices that will help to optimize for your health and fitness.
Interesting. And thanks for including me in your age group, which I'm not. My 20s, there were no gadgets.
Someday you were.
I think my 20s mobiles were launched at 16 rupees or 32 rupees a minute, so way long back. But jokes apart, I think that's a very important trend. I see two extremes of the consumer mindset. Either I'm like totally into the health and complete checks on the weight of measurement of what I eat, to the am I having enough protein conversation, to the other end of if you go on Insta, the younger generation into this food eating in this gully in Chandni Chowk to whatnot, right? That's two ends of the spectrum. And hence there is a growing trend of wanting to explore travel, do more with less time. Is there a product offering that you're exploring for consumers with that mindset, or you're seeing that as an expansion route?
See, like I said, a lot of our products have been built based on the customer feedbacks and our one-on-one interaction with them. So there are truly wireless that we specifically created when we spoke to the fitness cohort of our users, and we understood, they are the gym goers. They don't want something that keep falling off from their ear. So they want something that can stuck to their ears and very easily, and they can do it. We created that product. So it's very difficult for me to comment that, there is a lot of different cohort of customers that will always be there, and you have to keep optimizing. Yeah, there are a lot of things that we are doing, like we spoke about Smart Ring as a product. We are coming up with our first 4G watch that will allow a lot of customers to have. Our aim is to, replicate the 65% of what we use in a smartphone should be controlled by a watch, right? So we're working in all the directions, but yeah, a lot of these projects are secret ones, but yeah, you'll keep hearing a lot of it.
Yeah, we'll keep it a secret. We'll wait for the launch. I'm just going to open up. I've got a note to open up questions because I have another 20, like I mentioned, but I'm going to open up the audience for some interesting questions for Gaurav. Yeah, the lady in the back, and then the gentleman on the left.
Hi Gaurav, and first of all, congratulations for being the bootstrapped hero. And my question is that when you're talking about a lot of communities that travel and hobbies, which are as niche as possible, we are wanting to reach out to people who have genuine interest in certain areas. And then we are talking about distribution platforms, Acing E-commerce, going as broad as possible so that the products actually reach the end consumers whom we are marketing. So as a marketer, what I sometimes feel is that while we are branding and marketing to the specific particular audience, but in terms of distribution, we want to be all over the place so that be it be it Samsung watches, noise should be there. How do we maintain that balance, especially when we are actually crunched for money?
See, honestly, this debate we keep on having in our marketing discussions also, where to optimize, where to create those campaigns specifically for a specific community or not. You are in a journey at your brand at this point of time. Specifically, let's talk about noise, where the country has not seen enough penetration in wearable at this point of time also, right? My personal take is that when a brand reaches to a certain area or a category reaches to a certain area where there is sufficient amount of people for that specific niche community that you're talking about, that's when we start building those campaigns which are targeting to a specific audience or a cohort of customers. But you can't let just campaigns go on a specific niche for a long duration also, because category would be seeing the penetration for the masses at this point of time. So you have to look into the scenario of the market and the category and your brand, overall situation where it is exactly at this point of time. So it's not a, I would not be able to comment on what is the right balance, but it depends upon where is the brand, where is the category, where is the ecosystem of that specific product that you are working on, and then post that, I think it's the time when you start working on the community. So a lot of sports brand globally, for an example, let's talk about Nike as an example, right? They're optimizing for a sneakerhead separately, they're optimizing for a runner separately. Yes. So they have a scale where a niche piece also gives a substantial sales or revenue to the system. So I think it's a time or the scale when the brand should do that. But yeah, parallelly you keep on doing it, keep doing trials, you never know what can work.
I guess that's where the balance between P&L and marketing monies come in. Thank you.
I agree.
Hello Gaurav. My name is Ashwini Dudeja. I'm from One Infiniting. So expertise into online and offline branding. We do offline and online branding. My question is related to your product and other online products on e-commerce. So because I'm one of the resellers of noise product also into B2B, corporate selling. So what I faced in D2C, e-commerce, shopping, even purchasing and selling both, that customer service, when you don't get the customer service, you get irritated as a customer, isn't it? But in in the AI scenario, where you don't happen to interact with the customer service executive directly in a chat form, in a physical chat form, manual chat form, or physical interaction with the customer, then there's a hassle to sell a product or to buy a product. Are you getting my point? So I'm to say, how do you think that the physical customer interaction is mandate, whether it's on manual chat or one-on-one contact?
See, I have a very different take on this. I strongly believe that AI and any form of artificial intelligence will help a lot of D2C or any other industry to operate and optimize their customer experience and the customer support side. It doesn't matter honestly, because the consumer, I think Rahul also mentioned somewhere, people are not very much aware, the kids or the millennial or the Gen Z that we are talking about, they've got into a habit of not speaking to a human so often, right? They are pretty okay and accepting the behavior of a computer and so getting the solution from them. They want the leniency and, they don't want to wait for making a call that, सुबह 9 बजे से या 4 बजे तक ही customer support चलेगा. They are wanting to explore all the times. Whenever they are free, they just want to talk and get the problem and solution sorted out immediately. So I think it's important in some categories where you need a human interaction very, very often. But the way industry is growing and the new services and the products are coming, I think it will be okay for a lot of brands to have completely AI built customer support. If not completely, at least 80-85% of it can be solved.
Right. So somehow, yes, I personally I personally feel that delightful customer service is mandate.
Yeah, I agree. No denial to that fact. You can't play within customer experience for sure,
Exactly.
irrespective of whatever it is.
Because customer is the key for your sales.
Absolutely.
Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful questions, and we are up on our time. Thank you, Gaurav, for setting
Thanks,
the
Priti.
context, making it exciting for the rest of the discussions that are coming up. Wish you all the best in the new product line, which is all suspense now, and we look forward to hearing more of you in the PRs now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you for
hope
the
so.
opportunity, Kate and me.
Thanks, guys.